everybody, and welcome to Trackalicious. We have got a very special round 6 at Valencia in the GT3 West Coast Wednesday tonight. Because I am not alone, I have a friend in the commentators booth joining us tonight for the first time. We've got Harrison in the commentators booth tonight with us. How are you doing tonight, Harrison?
I am doing good, man. I am excited for this race. I'm excited for 50 minutes of hopefully some clean racing here at Valencia. I am nervous for the first time being here in the booth with you, and I'm going to do my best to bring some excitement for the viewers.
Yeah, it should certainly be pretty exciting. The qualifying is in the nighttime. Let's head down to the track and see what the drivers are dealing with out there tonight. Dr. Porkchop currently no time set on the board in the number 71 Jag. Out on track, though, going through the final sector. Should be one of the first to cross the line. Maybe he's on a flying lap at the moment. We'll just have to wait and see what happens as he approaches the final corner at the circuit Ricardo Tormo at Valencia. A pretty decent sized straight here to finish the lap, about half a mile long, as Dr. Porkchop goes to the start finish line, and this will be his first flying lap attempt. Valencia, not too popular of a choice. Have you driven around here before, Harrison?
I have not, no, but I feel like I have, because I've watched about half a dozen races just today trying to get a better understanding of how the track goes. It does look like a track that I would actually enjoy, though, because I do kind of like the technical tracks where there's a lot of twists and turns, and you gotta watch your mirrors at all times, and you gotta kind of be a little bit smarter than just putting your foot on the throttle the whole time. But I can see how maybe some people might not like that.
Yeah, it's certainly one of those technical twisty tracks. Not a lot of elevation change either, so it is a pretty flat track. It is mostly used for motorcycle racing. We've got a time from Neil Kerbel on the board, and he has dropped to second place, a 131.555 from him, currently 9/10 off of the pole position of the Mustang of Chandler Williams. A 130.625 is the benchmark for the time being for all our drivers to chase down. Tiago Dinarte slots in second place, Kyle Hirsch in fourth, Buggy Watt with a valid time in fifth place, Jace Wright on the board in third, 7/10 off of pole position at the moment. Sarah Liu going through the closing stages of Sector 2, approaching turn 9 and 10 before the hairpin of turn 11. A very tight and twisty bit in this little infield section before going into a really difficult not flat corner, but certainly some braking, very tricky to get right. Don't want to run too wide. Sarah may have just stayed within track limits there on the exit of turn 12, sweeping through turn 13 and hitting the apex at 14 and sliding wide and validating the lap on the final corner. Unfortunately, is Sarah.
A lot of people are sliding off of that track. Oh,
yeah, it seems
back to the pits.
Yeah, the pit entry is right on the line there, so maybe not a bad time to just pit in and take some new tires.
I think Wells got pretty fortunate here getting that time right away. I saw that. I don't think anyone's gonna, I could be wrong or be knock on wood, but I think that's a pretty good time for pole here. I don't know if many cars are gonna get below that right now.
Yeah, that's certainly a quick time, and he is really close with Chandler Williams, just 0.05 of a second separating those two on the timing charts at the moment. Kevin Yu going up to the line in the 95 Ferrari, a time good enough for 7th place at the moment. About a second off of pole position, but he has Potts Weaver just in front, a few hundredths of a second separating 7th and 6th place.
Now, I'm new here to this game. I like iRacing is probably where I spend the most, but could you explain to me and maybe the viewers what's with the colors going on here on the tracks? There's red, there's yellow, there's gray, there's blue.
What do you mean? What colors?
Like on the track there, on the little dots, the circles going around. Obviously, those are the cars, but some are teal,
yes.
Some are red.
Yeah, so the red is the car that we are driving with currently. That's Kevin Yu in the 95. Those that have the teal coloring are under blue flag, so that means they either are out an out lap out of the pits, or they were on a flying lap and invalidated it. If they are gray, then they are just out on track, good as can be.
Okay, all right, good job.
And then if they go off track, there'll be a yellow flag. If they're slow, they'll appear as like a big white moving dot, and then that's a kind of just like a warning for the drivers. And I'm sure we'll see a few of that, as a few drivers might pull off to the side of the track and escape to the pits after they complete their qualifying laps. Hope everybody in the chat joining us tonight is having a good evening or morning or afternoon, wherever you may be joining us from. Happy to have you here on this Wednesday evening for us in the US. But of course, you don't have to live in the US to join this championship or enjoy any of the action here tonight, as we just hit under 3 minutes left in qualifying. Jake Wells improving his time at the top. A 1:30.245 is the benchmark for the drivers to chase down. Chandler Williams is one of those contenders for pole position in the number 3 Mustang. The Please Brake T1 having a podium lockout on numerous occasions in the West Coast Wednesday Championship so far, and they will look to repeat the same here tonight, as he is currently in second place with teammate Thiago Dinarte in the 23 Audi in third, not too far behind as he approaches the line, reaching the limits of the track limits on the exit. Up to the line he goes. He's not able to improve his time, and he might just have 1 or 2 more attempts here, as there's just under 2 minutes left now in the qualifying session. Neil Kerbel, race winner from last time out, I believe, in the wet Suzuka race, if I'm not mistaken, in the 395 Mustang, just pulling off to the side of the road here, letting some of the faster drivers through.
Yeah, I rewatched that race earlier today of last week when you guys were all getting wet, and I'm sure the drivers are probably more excited to be driving on a drier track tonight. You know of any driver who likes to drive in the wet more than dry, or are there many benefits to that?
I mean, I don't know. I can't tell. I can't tell if I personally like it more or not. It's kind of a fun little equalizing factor amongst all the drivers, where a bit of an unexpected shower can really throw the whole race out of complexion, and that really changes things up, especially mid-race, if that does tend to happen. But not tonight, especially in a region like Valencia. Track is optimum. A little bit cold though. It is 1 o'clock in the morning. Very late time for the drivers to be setting their qualifying laps, but nonetheless, they are doing just that. Neil Kerbel, we saw him pulling off to the side a little bit there, just lining himself up for 1 more qualifying attempt here, as this will more than likely be his last flying lap attempt. Professor Chronotis currently sitting outside the top 10 in 11th place. The number 42 blue shelled Ferrari looking to improve and take that 10th place away from the fellow Ferrari in front of Santiago Barrios in the 76 Ferrari. So this will be a good, interesting battle to watch between the 2 Ferraris. They're both out on track. They're both setting good personal best laps at the moment. So we'll just have to wait and see as the times tick down. Checkered flag is waving in the qualifying session. Jake Wells in the pits from pole position. Chandler Williams in second. Thiago Dinarte in third. Sarah Liu getting a good lap in the Lexus in fourth. Jace Wright checking the checkered flag in fifth. And Chronotis takes 9th place. Gets a good position inside that top 10. Able to take it from Kyle Hirsch. And...
whoa.
Yeah, indeed. Oh my goodness. Potts Weaver up to the line, improving up to 6th place. And that is the qualifying session complete. here in the dark around Valencia.
That was a good session. That lap was set really early too, right? It was like one of his first ones. Or maybe it was the second one. But
yeah,
that was
second,
right from the start.
Pretty much, yeah. Setting the early pace, setting the benchmark for everybody to chase down in front. Good grid here tonight. 16 cars showing up. Always fun to have the big grids showing up for these late night races or early morning races or afternoon races, of course. As we say, it is the West Coast Wednesday Championship, but you don't have to be on the West Coast to enjoy all of this action. And there was a question earlier in the chat that says, am I right that this is a closed championship? It is closed in that you have to join and sign up on SimGrid and then join the Discord for all the passwords for the server info, but anybody's welcome to join and sign up. So the signups are open on SimGrid if you are interested in joining that. This is round 6 of 8, and I'm sure there will be another West Coast Wednesday coming up after the conclusion of this championship. And with that being said, let's get down to the starting grid and take a look at how the grid is lining up for the 50-minute race we have ahead. As we mentioned, Jake Wells on pole position in the 5.27, setting his lap pretty early on, setting the benchmark, and no other driver able to chase him down. Chandler Williams being the closest contender to him, about 0.3 off in the Please Brake T1 number 3 Mustang, having his teammate behind for company in the number 23 Audi, Thiago Dinarte, looking to jump some positions from the start and maybe find himself in the race win. Sarah Liu, multiple time podium sitter in the series in the Myonex number 310 Lexus, will line up on the second row. Jace Wright in 5th in the number 24 Team WRT 2024 liveried BMW, will start from 5th place. Potts Weaver will be in 6th in the defragmented number 13 McLaren. Kevin Yu will be behind him in 7th in the number 95 Ferrari. Neil Kerbel, the Please Brake T1 395 Mustang, lines up in 8th place. Professor Chronotis able to get a good lap at the end, putting his Ferrari in the top 10 in 9th place. Number 42 will look to get to the leader in that blue shell, but hopefully not take him out. And Kyle Hirsch in the number 10 McLaren will round out the top 10 in the number 21 Dive Bombers machine. Santiago Barrios, the Rebellion Autosport number 76 Ferrari, will line up just outside the top 10 in 11th place. The Jag of Dr. Porkchop in the Chop Shop Racing 71 lines up behind Santiago in 12th. Buggy Watt in the 410 bleached Buggy McLaren lines up in 13th on the grid. Anthony Navarro in the Lotus Ferrari 416 will start from 14th on the grid. Daniel Hirsch in the Super Kitties 48 liveried AMG Mercedes starts from 15th on the grid. And last but not least, Devin Anthony getting the Honda started.
Late to the party.
A little bit late to the formation lap. Yeah, maybe that's just part of the strategy.
Yeah,
in the Wreckham and the Wreckham team, the 664 will start from 16th on the grid here tonight.
This is exciting. I'm excited for this. I can't wait. There's a lot of things happen on turn 1 here I've seen. So with 16 cars, hopefully we can all knock on wood and see a clean start, but turn 1 is turn 1 straight into 2 is be nice. Hopefully see them all get through there pretty smoothly.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very tight and twisty track. There's a lot of runoff though at turn 1, so hopefully all the drivers will at least be able to make it through cleanly without having too much time taken out of their race time. As we mentioned, this is mostly a motorcycle racing track. A lot of the curbs are very low, so drivers can take advantage of running a little bit wide and then maybe cutting in a few places, but not cutting too much per se to pick up those track limit penalties. And nonetheless, lots of motorcycle racing history around this track. It was built in 1999 and named after the two-time world champion Ricardo Tormo. and in his honor. A lot of the turns are also named after famous motorcycle racers. Can't pronounce a lot of them, so I'm just going to stick with corner numbers.
I tried to get these names, and some of them are a little bad. I think I put it together, but just for me and the viewers, those little lines next to the brand of car, is that their fuel, or what is that? Where it's like
that is
yellow,
their ping level. That's how good their internet is.
All right.
So for most of the time, the grid looks pretty good, and we have the zipper formation now, the 2x2 grid from 1st to 16th, rounding the final corner. A bit of a wait to that start-finish line before the green flag will wave and release our drivers here for 50 minutes of action. Thiago Dinarte in 3rd place, looking to jump some positions as the green light waves. Jake Wells gets a good start, able to get in front of Chandler Williams already, has the advantageous racing line. Sarah Liu looking to gain some places from the inside. In the Lexus, a little bit wide from Potts Weaver, but he's willing to take that track limit penalty to risk it and take it on the inside. Thiago Dinarte with the move up into 2nd place as well in the inside of turn 2. And it looks like for the most part, the field got through relatively cleanly. The 416 a little bit stranded in the back. Same with the 42. The 71 unfortunately spinning out on the exit of turn 3. We'll have to play it cautious with the 42, and Jace Wright falling back down the grid in the BMW there, the golden black car falling back. Thiago Dinarte though able to get by his teammate and jump him for 2nd place here for the start of the race here in lap 1. Sarah Liu looking pretty racy. Potts Weaver gaining a place. Kevin Yu in 6th. Jace Wright dropping a few places. Neil Kerbel in 8th. Kyle Hirsch still 9th. Santiago Barrios in 10th. Anthony in the Honda jumping a lot of places from the start, moving up to 11th place after the formation lap hiccup. Oh, very heavy on the curbing there. Lots of sparks getting kicked up from the cars as Jake Wells gets a really good getaway from lap 1, has a 1.2 second gap to Thiago Dinarte in 2nd place, battling it out with his teammate for those final podium positions.
That was probably the best start Wells could have asked for. Hopefully he can keep it going to the rest of the race. If you get a little lead like that, you want to try to keep it as best you can to make sure you're just racing the track and not racing other people and get the worry of getting bumped or pushed off or having to take different angles. So let's see if he can keep over that 1 second lead and keep the rest of the race. Oh, there we go right there.
Yeah, Jace Wright unfortunately dropping back even more places after getting bumped. I believe that was Kevin Yu in the Ferrari getting involved with a little bit of contact, but he is still right on the tail of this battle. Kyle Hirsch and Neil Kerbel benefiting from Jace Wright running a little bit wide after the contact into turn 2, but nonetheless still able to keep his BMW going out on track right behind the tail of Neil Kerbel now. And the battles are really going all throughout the grid here. Potts Weaver and Sarah Liu battling it out for 4th and 5th place as this battle really picking up. Sarah Liu really on the defensive now. The McLaren looking really racy. Out in front is Jake Wells, and Potts Weaver looking to carry that pace through as well, trying to get Sarah Liu and jump the Lexus for 4th place. As we ride with the wing cam of the Lexus down the half-mile straight at Valencia, the McLaren just not able to pull on the tail of the Lexus as best as possible, but gets a really good exit out of turn 1. And is this the look that Potts Weaver was looking for? Doesn't quite send it to the inside, but Sarah Liu a little bit wide. And is this the look? Potts Weaver once again just not able to stick the nose in where he needs to after Sarah Liu leaving the door open a little bit into turn 2. But Potts Weaver just tucking in behind. And the battle for the podium is really heating up between the Please Brake T1 teammates. Hopefully no collisions between the teammates. The Mustang right on the tail of the Audi. Oh no, Potts Weaver in the background going into the wall.
Oh no. I was just gonna say, you want to measure how much risk you want to take. It's a short sprint, but you still had 46 minutes left. He looked like he was getting really aggressive at every opportunity he could. Unfortunate that he kind of lost some of his foot in there.
Yeah, he did, as we saw. Fantastic move from Chandler Williams. Go through Thiago Dinarte, and he is now in second place. But this battle will surely continue. Both of these guys have tremendous pace, hopping it over the curve.
They're coming right around the straight here. Oh gosh, how much draft is he gonna get? Is he gonna get enough? Is he gonna play any mind games with him? Are you gonna mess with him?
Yeah, for the most part, relatively clean race so far. A few drivers just falling back down the grid. Maybe a few incidents we maybe just didn't quite catch on the camera at the start there. But Potts Weaver unfortunately having to return to the pit lane after that incident saw him a little bit oversteery on the exit. Neil Kerbel trying to defend the inside, but Jace Wright sticking the nose in to the inside of turn 2. Now has the inside through turn 3. Is Neil Kerbel gonna fight it into turn 4? He is. He sticks the nose in. Is he gonna keep 7th place from Jace Wright? Has the outside, needs a lot of grip around there if he wants to get that move done, and great defensive showing from Neil Kerbel to defend 7th place.
That really was a good move. But look at Wells' lead. He's building over a 2-second lead now. He qualified P1. He's taken the lead the whole lap so far. This is it looks like it's his race in the early portion of it. Still much more to go. But if any history's indication, he's started off really well here.
Yeah, he sure has. Of course, we got to wait for all the pit stops and see what strategies just might play out too. That has really come to bite a few drivers in the butt in the closing stages of a couple of races we have seen so far. Walker, thanks for the follow. Much appreciate the support here at Trackalicious. Hope you're enjoying the action here. Not even 10 minutes under our belt, and there has been so much going on all the way from first to last place. Epic Lava following as well. Thank you all so much for joining us here tonight in the West Coast Wednesday GT3 Championship. There's a chat earlier as well. How do you put livery on Lexus Custom? Well, there's a way. You got to find, there's these 3D wireframes that you can put into Photoshop, and then it's just a matter of downloading or uploading them into the correct file locations in a customs livery. There's a good YouTube tutorial on how to do it. I would recommend checking that out. And yeah, that's how all these drivers were able to either create their liveries or download some custom ones. Jace Wright has one of those custom ones that we've mentioned, that Team WRT golden black with the dragon on the sides. Jake Wells as well has one of his own custom ones representing his community with the plaid black and the orange on the sides. The Trackalicious logos as well. Big shout out to him for all the support he does for the community here. The gap is closing a little bit. You did say it was around 2 seconds. It has closed down to about 1.6. So Chandler Williams, with a bit of clean air after getting through the Audi, is now closing the gap, and we might have a battle on our hands in the closing stages of the race for the lead.
Let's hope so. Racing's always better when it's closer, isn't it? You don't want to win by, unless you're the racer. But us as viewers, as fans, we want those close battles.
Potts, sorry for that. What happened there, my friend? Yeah, it looked like you just kind of oversteered there. Did you bang a wheel onto the curb or onto the grass a little bit on the exit there? What happened? It's always fun to get a little bit of insight from the drivers, and unfortunately this isn't quite the insight we were hoping to get from Potts Weaver now in the pits, unfortunately. With Neil Kerbel still defending from Jace Wright in 7th place. The 395 Mustang has been higher than this before, seen a couple of race wins in the past in the GT4 series as well. Neil Kerbel, very talented, very experienced driver. Oh, you missed me talking about the liveries. Oh man, all right. We'll try again after this battle into turn 8.
Oh,
but nonetheless,
so
yeah.
Battling.
Yeah, it really is. Jace Wright not giving any breathing room to Neil Kerbel in front in that Mustang and BMW. Potts saying too much gas when the left side of the car was on the red-white, turned the car left, and I didn't catch it fast enough, didn't even feel it until I was 45 degrees. Yeah. Oh man, unfortunately, the McLaren seems to kind of, the McLaren seems to step out, it's like really difficult to catch, especially with kind of, seems like all the weight's just kind of on the back there. And with the way the arrow is kind of balanced on the McLaren, it's, yeah, disappointing for sure, but hey, that's racing. It happens. I'm sure you'll be back next week with some strong pace as well in the next weekend, the closing race, as we head to the final 3 rounds of the West Coast Wednesday Championship. Round 6 here at Valencia tonight, and then 2 rounds to go after this one, and we will get to what rounds those are later on. Well, the battling is continuing out on track. Battle for 13th and 12th is picking up between Daniel Hirsch and Buggy Watt. Is he going to sweep around the outside and get the move done in the AMG? Buggy Watt covers it off, takes that outside line away, and now Dr. Porkchop looking to pounce on that opportunity. And so the liveries thing, all these custom ones you're seeing, yeah, there's Photoshop files that are available to download. I believe Trackalicious has those available in their shared Google Drive. And then there's a good YouTube tutorial on which files you need to place where. It's a quick 10-minute video, and it's pretty easy to follow along, so I do recommend following that. It's kind of hard to explain over a quick, over just a quick race thing, but it looks like Jace Wright trying to get through Neil Kerbel around the outside of the final corner. Now there is a battle of straight line speed. Mustang versus BMW. Who will get it into turn 1? Can Jace Wright sweep around the outside? Goes off the green turf. Nearly contact between the two. And he still leaves a little bit of room to the inside. And it's Neil Kerbel. Is this the room? Is this the chance? Finally for Jace Wright to take the position. He has the inside into turn 4. And Neil Kerbel sliding on the exit, not able to maintain the position. Jace Wright sweeping into 7th place. Neil Kerbel back to 8th, a little bit more oversteer out of turn 5, as we've got our good friend Eric showing us where to get all those files that you need. Good friend Free Zips. And there's a drive-through for Professor Chronotis for track limits, and he is also parked, and he will return to the pits and unfortunately retire from the race this evening. And that is unfortunate to see from the blue shelled Ferrari, usually putting up good consistent top 10 fighting positions in the GT3 West Coast Wednesdays, but unfortunately having a bit of a moment there, picking up that drive through and then returning to the pit lane. The gap is really closing up for the lead. It's now 1.2 seconds between Chandler Williams and Jake Wells. This is the view.
That's what I've been waiting to talk about. That's what Williams has. That's the best lap, right? With that purple indicator next to his number. That's what that means. And every lap I've been watching, he's getting closer and closer. This is really going to be exciting here. Yeah, to see these two fight it out here. Still got a long way to go. Still got pit stops to go, but I think these two are going to be battling close. Not as close as Wright was doing earlier, but I think this is going to be a close battle here at the start of the front of the pack.
Yeah, it sure is, and of course that pit stop strategy, ever so crucial, will be coming into play as well once everybody decides to dive into the pits to do just that. Kevin Yu is closing in on Sarah Liu once again on this battle for 4th place. That gap kind of opening up and then closing through different sectors, but certainly under pressure a little bit more now is Sarah Liu in the 310 Lexus for 4th place, just sitting just outside the top 3. The gap is really not too far off, 5.7 seconds or 5.4 seconds there as they cross the timing charts for another
Williams has got
time.
it under a second going into the stretch here, going into the straightaway. That's past that.
Kevin Yu trying to do the same down the straight here. as the gap closing between the Ferrari and the Lexus, and same with the Ford and the McLaren for the lead of the race. Running wide are both of the drivers into turn one. Kevin Yu has a pretty good speed advantage. Let's see if he can maintain his advantage in pace and get the Lexus into this twisty infield section at Valencia. Going through turn 4 now. Nothing separating these two, nearly bumper to bumper as they go through turn 5. Kevin Yu taking a little bit more curbing than the Lexus on the inside there. But as we mentioned earlier, the curbing is pretty flat, so you are able to get away with that for the most part. Unfortunate to see that happen to a few drivers, get a bit of an oversteer moment, as this is one of the better overtaking opportunities here into turn number 8. A sweeping hairpin slightly downhill to the left before this fast chicane where the braking zone is never going to be in a straight line after you exit turn 10 into turn 11. And is this the move that Kevin Yu was lining up? It's very difficult to go side by side through turn 12. Both Lexus and Ferrari running wide, kicking up a few sparks in front is the Lexus, and this battle will continue once again down the start finish straight. Kevin Yu taking a lot of inside curb there and running wide, trying to carry as much speed as he possibly can to take the Lexus into the very quick turn 1. He's just not close enough to send it there. Not a good enough exit either. But the Ferrari very confident on the brakes, able to close that gap in the braking zones. But the Lexus having that straight line speed advantage down the half-mile long straight at Valencia, using it to the most of its capabilities, trying to keep up in this infield section is the Ferrari of Kevin Yu, and the McLaren of Kyle Hirsch is not too far off either, just 1.8 seconds off of this battle for 4th and 5th place. So even the McLaren might even have a chance to sweep into the top 5 here.
Yeah, it looks like you can't just get enough space anywhere to try to make a move, which is smart, not trying to risk it this. I guess you could still say it this early, but I was just going to say you're going into turn 8 and then coming back around here. I think he wants to, though. He's trying as best he can. I think if he can get some draft here on the straight, he'll try to do something on this next lap here going into turn 1 and 2. But you got to get a little bit closer, I think. Oh, there's close enough right there.
Yeah, he's really trying. The corner exits is really where it seems like the Ferrari is getting a lot of that advantage. The Lexus just having to brake a lot more than the Ferrari into the corners. But again, that straight line speed advantage is really just absolutely evident there. Down the straights and through the corner, the Ferrari once again carrying so much more speed, able to get on the tail of the Lexus through the braking zones. And now Kevin Yu is right on the tail of the Lexus to potentially sweep through into 4th place. Both cars running a little bit wide, and you don't want to risk running too wide, as we've seen Professor Chronotis pick up that drive-through penalty for track limits. So these drivers certainly don't want to risk doing that either. Battle for the lead closing up between Chandler Williams. Jake Wells oversteering on the exit of turn number 11. Let's see how this battle is going to go down into the final corner. The McLaren under pressure certainly now from the Ford, and we know the Ford has fantastic straight line speed advantage, and Jake Wells weaving now, trying to break the toe. He is certainly feeling the pressure now. Just again, the McLaren running a little bit wide on that corner exit, but trying to carry as much speed as possible. Once again, don't want to risk picking up that drive-through penalty. And these two have certainly found a league of their own. And Sarah Liu, as we say, the 310 Lexus gets a drive-through penalty for track limits. It looked like she was going through turn 1 when that drive-through was awarded by the game. So unfortunately for Sarah, battling for a top 5 position, will drop back down the order after serving that drive-through. Fortunately for her, the pit lane is pretty short around Valencia, so it won't be as much of a time loss as it could be, but still a time loss nonetheless.
Unfortunate. That was such a good battle for many laps, it seemed. But I'm all about Williams and Wells now. I want to see how this goes out. Yeah, like I said, Williams has improved upon every single lap. Wells just got a really good start, so I don't know how. If you're Wells, what should you be thinking your strategy is? Obviously, it's too early to do anything outrageous like we saw with those weaves, but what do you think? Yeah, got any idea as to what he can do to keep this? Just keep this still to go to the pit? Or what do you think he's thinking?
It's really tricky to say. I mean, knowing Jake Wells, he's super confident in his pace and his abilities, so he will certainly just keep his head down and try to use the McLaren, use the cornering speeds to his advantage over the Ford. We saw it at Suzuka last week where the Fords were just taking everybody in the straight line department, but this, a much more twisty, much more technical, I wouldn't say much more technical than Suzuka. Suzuka is a very technical track, but nonetheless here, a lot less high speed corners, let's say, much more medium to low speed kind of hairpins that turn on themselves and complexes that are very big infields. We see the cuts inside after turn 2, 3, 4, and 5 is a bit of an infield section, as well as after turn 8, which these two drivers are approaching here in first and second place. And then the chicane at turn 9 and 10. Before braking, you kind of have to brake halfway through the chicane there, as these cameras are really not able to pick up what is happening. They're not sure why the game built those in there.
Yeah, that is, this track is really exciting to see. I like how you can see with the different types of cars how the straightaways are really starting to, you can really see that like the Ford catches up on them with that other battle earlier. The Ferrari wasn't so good in the straight, but then on the turns was really able to catch up. So I think there's a lot to go. And there goes the Mustang into the pit, getting his pit out of the way right now.
And yeah, he's going to try the undercut attempt on Jake Wells here. I will keep everybody updated on the pit stop times as those tick on through. A bit more action in the pit lane. Kevin Yu diving into the pits from 4th place. Kyle Hirsch is really under pressure now from Jace Wright, looking to make up ground after losing a few places from the few opening laps. A bit of contact, a bit of rubbing, but hey, that's racing for you folks here at round 6 in the West Coast Wednesday GT3 Championship. Jace Wright looking to really capitalize here as Kyle Hirsch has a really big oversteer moment on the exit of turn 2. Chandler Williams still in the pit lane with Kevin Yu. Sarah Liu, after serving the drive-through, deciding to come into the pits to serve that mandatory pit stop as well. And Jace Wright looking to capitalize with Kyle Hirsch seemingly looking to struggle a little bit on those tires, having a bit of oversteer out of the slower corners in the McLaren. Jace Wright will certainly look to use his pace advantage and get by the McLaren as soon as he can.
Keep an eye on Wells too. This is him coming back around here. I wonder if he's going to take a pit on this lap too, or if he's got a completely different strategy than Williams had.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it looks like he's going around again, carrying a lot of speed down the start-finish straight, so he is comfortable with where he is. Going to keep it going around one more time, and it does look like Chandler Williams did take fresh tires during his pit stop. His stationary time was around 33 seconds, so that will certainly be interesting to see what Jake Wells decides to do in the closing stages of this race. Nearly halfway through, just over 26 minutes left to go in round 6 around Valencia here tonight. Pretty exciting racing so far. The gap's opening up now a little bit as the drivers are taking their pit stops here. That mandatory 25-second fixed fuel timer pit stop for all the drivers to take fuel, and then it is up to the drivers whether they want to take tires or not. And Anthony Navarro going to the inside after Buggy Watt running a little bit wide. They're going to battle through turn 9 and 10. This is the battle for 11th place. Oh, and Navarro running wide onto the curbing, and Jake Wells able to avoid the chaos there unfolding in front of them. Blue flags will certainly be waving for those two drivers. Thiago Dinarte in the Audi going through as well, and there the 416 able to keep the car going, avoiding any contact with the walls or other cars. Just losing a place there, I believe. Actually, not even losing a place, so still in 12th place is Anthony Navarro. Running a little bit wide, a bit of a interesting line to take into the pits there.
To take a different line to get to the pits than we've seen. That's one way to get there in time, I guess. Fortunate, yeah, like you said, he didn't run into the wall or make any major contact or anything. I wonder what that's gonna, and if that how that's gonna affect him the rest of the race.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, like you said, no contact, no major nothing. Just a mandatory pit stop to serve. Thiago Dinarte in the pits from 2nd. Neil Kerbel in the pits from 4th place as well. And so Chandler Williams in the lead of those who have already stopped. Kevin Yu in 2nd, Kyle Hirsch in 3rd, Dr. Porkchop here in 10th, but still yet to complete the pit stop. Same with Buggy Watt behind in 11th. Sarah Liu after the drive-through and a mandatory pit stop finds herself in 12th place. Navarro currently serving that mandatory pit stop. Daniel Hirsch is in 14th, also having already served that mandatory pit stop. And there's a drive-through for speeding in the pits for the podium sitter. That was Thiago Dinarte. He was in 3rd place overall before all of the drivers committed to the pit stops. And now he unfortunately will find himself trickling at pit limiter speeds, and Navarro gets a stop go 30 for speeding in the pit lane. He must have been speeding much more severely than Thiago Dinarte was, and nonetheless those two drivers having to return to the pits once again in the race.
That's so unfortunate for them. With half the group already doing their pit stops, they're gonna probably slide way down here once they serve these, especially 30 seconds is, gosh, that's a long time for that. So unfortunate for them, not able to keep it under the limits coming out of the pit.
Yeah, either entering or exiting the pits, maybe a combination of both, but yeah, nonetheless, we saw Navarro taking that slightly different, let's say, pit entry approach, as Jace Wright is in the box in the 24 BMW from 2nd place overall in the race, but of course he will certainly slot in to a different position once all the drivers have come around. It'll be interesting to see where he comes out. He was battling with, who was it, Kyle Hirsch and Kevin Yu, I believe, before the pit stop. So let's just wait and see here. Let's ride with Jace Wright and see what sort of pit time he's got. And now exiting in the BMW pretty much at the start, releasing the limiter, and the number 95 of Kevin Yu does get through, but he does get the position on the 21 McLaren behind, so he will find himself in between the Ferrari and the McLaren. Should be, I believe, 6th place overall after all of the timing charts decide to cycle through and do their thing. Thiago Dinarte, I believe, already in the pits, serving his drive-through, getting that out of the way nice and early. Same with Navarro. Dr. Porkchop in the pits from 10th place. Jake Wells, Anthony in the 664 Honda, and Santiago Barrios, the top 3 still yet to complete their pit stop. Same with Buggy Watt, currently in 10th place in the 410.
Yeah, top 3 right now still haven't pitted. He's had a really good race so far tonight. I think no one's been battling more than him. It seems every time we pan over to him, he's in a battle, and he's like he's not too far behind getting in another one. So that's always exciting to see that these racers, and they can keep their cool while they're under this pressure for a race like this, always battling with people and having to, maintain everything going on while you're doing that.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, there's really the unfortunate bit is that he just had a bit of incidents early on that sent him down the grid, but he really has tremendous pace around Valencia, and he's showing it while he's right on the back of Kevin Yu for that top 5 position here in the race. As we see the 416 clearing the pit stop. Oh, and the pit exit is, of course, right on the exit of the racing line. Navarro able to stay out of the way there. Well done to everybody for how clean of an exit into turn 1 that was from everybody. Kevin Yu able to continue his battle with Jace Wright, and Navarro will battle, I believe, I'm not sure if he's a lap down, and maybe he might be a lap down from Dr. Porkchop. So that will not be a move for position. Neither is this one here between Kyle Hirsch. He's just looking to get through the lap traffic of Porkchop and Navarro in front. Same with Neil Kerbal behind, looking to try and take more of an advantage here, splitting the 2 lapped cars behind, trying to get through as he wants to battle Kyle Hirsch in front here.
Yeah, no, that's true. And Williams he's put himself in a position that, unless I'm completely wrong, he will be in first at some point as long as he stays where he's at, because those other cars, they have to take that mandatory pit. So he should have a cool head, and he should be collected here. I mean, I think he'll be able to make that catch up when they go into the pits, unless I'm wrong.
Yeah, he certainly has been able to put in fast lap after fast lap. He's almost matching his personal best at the moment, while Jake Wells is unfortunately not quite able to match his best time, but we have seen him having to go through a bit of traffic as well, so maybe just not finding himself in the cleanest parts and the most empty parts of the track at the moment, but nonetheless putting in still good laps, as there's going to be a side-by-side battle here. Jace Wright to the inside of turn 2. Kevin Yu leaving him plenty of space, and Jace Wright moves into the top 5, oversteers, drifts in excitement from getting at that position, and he finds himself moving up into the top 5. Great move from Jace Wright, carrying the speed through turn 1, lining up on the inside of turn 2. Kevin Yu also respectful, leaving plenty of space for the BMW to go through.
I think I had some oversteer in my chair as well during that. That was exciting to see. That was great to see Wright get some. Like I said, he's been having a great race. I mean, he's had the pace and everything. You like to see racers like that do well.
Yeah, 100%. Totally deserves it too. Great guy. We've done a multi-stream on Twitch with him before, so yeah, super fun to talk to after all the races when he finishes on the podium and stuff. So hopefully he finds himself in a pretty good position. He might find himself in that podium position with Thiago Dinarte picking up that drive-through. Anthony Barrios were a little bit further down the order, so Jake Wells really the only one in front that was out on track in front of Jace Wright before all the pit stops, so maybe he might even find himself on a podium run here towards the end of the race.
Yeah, do you think Wells is getting to a point where maybe he's hurting himself by not pitting? I'm not too familiar with strategies on how to pit or everything, but with 18 minutes left in the race, do you think it's getting kind of close to where when he's going to come out, he won't be leading the race, where it won't give him much time to make runs? Or do you think with fresh tires and everything, he'll be all right to make some runs, as it looks like he's finally going in now?
Yeah, I think he answered the question for me here, and now is the time that Jake Wells decides to pit. And of course, going long, not necessarily beneficial in the fuel timer, as it is fixed to 25 seconds, but he might just be trying to play his tire advantage to the best of his abilities and not using them as much as he might like to, and now just not taking fresh tires and not having those additional 5 seconds on his pit stop. So this will certainly be interesting to see where he comes out relative to Chandler Williams, so who is rounding the final corner now, out on track, going to the start finish line. Jake Wells is at the end of the pits there, getting dropped in the McLaren, and he is rolling out on track. They're gonna go. It's gonna be very close. Chandler Williams, though, gets the undercut done, and he finds himself overall in first, once again drifting. Everybody's so excited to get the positions. They find themselves oversteering on the corner exit. He is in the overall race lead before Anthony and Barrios complete their pit stops. Chandler Williams putting in fast lap after fast lap in that undercut strategy with the fresh tires, putting in very good laps, gets the undercut done. Jake Wells not taking fresh tires during his pit stop either, and that will certainly not help his chances of trying to close down the gap to Chandler Williams in front now.
That definitely won't help him, and let's keep in mind that Williams does have the fastest time, and he was chipping away at Wells, but Wells had the lead up until they took that pit stop. So that start he had to the race really helped him out, but like you said, not getting tires, I think that might be you don't want to say a mistake, but that might not be the right choice here. But we'll because I don't think he's going to be able to pass him. He wasn't running faster laps before the pit, so I can't imagine he'll be running faster laps now. Because Williams did take tires, correct?
I can only presume. Like, I only have the times, so I don't know whether they decided whether the pit stop was just.
I think you said it was, yeah.
Yeah, it's just hard to predict for certain, but I didn't see them pick up any sort of damage throughout the race. There was certainly clean between the top three, no sort of bumping for any sort of contact to occur, for any sort of seconds of damage to occur and pick up during the pit stop. So I thought, for the most part, the only other thing that could happen is a slight mistake where you run a little bit long into your pit stop or to the pit box.
Okay.
But apart from that, I think for the most part, these times are pretty bang on. And so, yeah, Jake Wells with a 27.3 stationary time. Oh, and there's absolutely epic battles here. It's these three. Kevin Yu maintaining the lead from Kyle Hirsch. Not the lead, sixth place, I should say. Neil Kerbel now to the inside of Kyle Hirsch in the Mustang. They're going to go side by side into turn 3, and the Mustang is going to sweep through and now goes through completely through turns 4 and 5 and is now going to try to chase down the Ferrari in front of Kevin Yu.
You know, the Mustang has had better straightaway speed here at this track tonight, especially over the Ferrari where we saw it earlier. The Ferrari has it on the turns, but not the straightaway. So look for this at that last straightaway here and see what the Mustang can do. Oh, that's pretty close to getting touched.
Yeah, super close in this battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th place. Devin Anthony in the lead. Still yet to pit, but now on this lap deciding it is time for the Honda to make the pit stop. Barrios and Watt still the only two drivers yet to complete the pit stop, currently in 4th and 11th respectively. Neil Kerbel getting through the McLaren on the previous lap now is going to try to line up the Ferrari and improve up into 6th place. Let's see if he can get it done down the main straight.
Wow, those cars are so close to they're so close. And they all go a little wide, a little dance again. That's a huge move. Holy cow.
Kyle Hirsch sends it down the inside of turn 2, and he gets the position back from Neil Kerbel. And the battle is going to really continue. Kevin Yu is really going to be pleased to see all the battling going on as he is going to try to eke out any sort of time advantage he can over the battling McLaren and Ford behind, and Kyle Hirsch getting the position back after losing it on the previous lap, but he is looking really racy right on the tail of the Ferrari for 6th place now.
Yeah, that's it. It always looks like making a move or trying to do something. The lead real quick, Williams has gotten over 3 seconds now, so this looks like the last 12 minutes here as he stays smooth sailing. He should be at worst on the podium, but looks like he'll be doing pretty well here if he can maintain what he's doing. He's had the pace, he's had the lead. It seems like he's doing everything right, but this battle here is, oh, it's exciting.
Yeah, super exciting with 12.5 minutes left. Still, any one of these three can find themselves in any of these three positions, really. Their pace is pretty much identical throughout the entirety of the race. Kevin Yu defending for his life in the Ferrari for the majority of the race, finding himself on the back foot here as the McLaren gets a really good exit. Great shot from the helicopter sweeping down below there as they go into turn 1. The inside for the McLaren, the outside for the Ferrari. Can the Ferrari maintain the speed? Oh, there might have been a little bit of contact between the two, and the Ford might take 2 into 1 and not quite able to get 2, but the Ferrari unfortunately losing out on 2 places. Kyle Hirsch moving up into 4th place, Neil Kerbel into 5th, and Kevin Yu is now in 6th place after losing a few positions, running a little bit wide at turn 1. Neil Kerbel really benefiting from that, and Kevin Yu now on the back foot a little bit as Kyle Hirsch and Neil Kerbel going to continue their battle now for 4th and 5th place after Barrios completes his mandatory pit stop.
Yeah, that looked like that was, I think that was the exact turn that the lap before Hirsch was able to overtake both of them on. And then Kerber just did it right down there as well to the Ferrari. So that was exciting to see. I was going to say it's the Ferrari's turn next lap, but I don't know if he's going to be able to catch up and make it. But do you remember? I think that was the same turn. They did that both sweep and inside move and made some passes.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, Neil Kerbel did it on the last lap. Kyle Hirsch on the lap before. Oh, wiggly on the exit of turn 12 into turn 13. A little bit on to the very little heavy curbing there is here around Valencia in the 76 there. That is Barrios after the pit stop. A bit of a yellow flag at the exit of turn 6. And Kyle Hirsch on the back foot here. The Mustang having a look down the inside into turn 1, just backing out at the last minute. And the Mustang running really wide at the exit of turn 1.
You had said earlier the cameras maybe weren't set up that great on the track, but we just needed a helicopter because this angle of this battle is insane. This is great throughout the entire track.
Yeah, super fun to watch. Yeah, a couple of the cameras in a few places just kind of there more for the aesthetics rather than seeing the action going on here. And in the lead of the race, Chandler Williams completing 25 laps, just under 10 minutes to go now of this 50-minute race we have around Valencia. Round 6 of 8 in the GT3 West Coast Wednesday Championship. Still lots of positions to be decided. Primarily this battle for 4th, 5th, and 6th place. Jace Wright securing a position in the top 3 at the moment, about 10 seconds in front of this battle, and Neil Kerbel is going to look to the inside of turn 13 and into the braking zone of turn 14, has the inside line, but the McLaren might get a good exit, and same with the Ferrari, and this battle is really going to continue. But Neil Kerbel now, the lead car of this 3-car battle in 4th place, looking now to defend from Kyle Hirsch and Kevin Yu behind.
Look for turn 2 and 3 right up here. This is where both of them made their moves and they passed each other respectfully. So let's see if these are going to be anything similar to that, if they keep those turns in mind, to see if they send it deep inside and make some sort of pass.
Not quite close enough to do it on this lap, it seems. Pretty clean into turn 1 from everybody. No dramas just yet, but anything can still happen between these 3 drivers. Neil Kerbel now in the Mustang, moving up a couple of positions from his starting place, finding or solidifying a place in the top 5, moving up into 4th. But Kyle Hirsch not giving up that position easily in the green and purple McLaren behind, trying to stay as close to the bumper of the Ford as possible. The McLaren certainly having the advantage through these twisty sections around Valencia. Wants to stay close, use the draft down the straight, carry the speed through turn 1, and maybe have an inside look into turn 2. That really seems to be the best overtaking opportunity of the night around Valencia. Not a lot of action elsewhere unless there's a mistake from the driver in front.
Let's see how close they're going to get here on this straight. This is where they build it up, and then if they can get close, they battle it out through the first couple of turns of the track to see if I don't think the Ferrari is going to be able to catch it. Well, it looks like he may be coming. But let's see what the McLaren and the Ford can do here going into turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, the Ferrari certainly within touching distances. If the 2 in front decide to do any sort of shenanigans and battle side by side. But yeah, it's Kevin Yu just really trying to stay within touching distance in case anything happens between the McLaren and the Ford battling for 4th and 5th. Kyle Hirsch might have a look. He was thinking about it.
Oh, I thought he was going.
Yeah, he thought about it into turn 4. Maybe just playing a bit of mind games with Neil Kerbel in front, showing him, hey, I'm faster in this sector. Look what I can do. And now, unfortunately, though, running a little bit wide on the exit of turn 6 before going into turn 7 here. The battle really picking up lap by lap, though. Time is ticking. Just under 6.5 minutes left in the race. Chandler Williams nearly 7 seconds out in front. Jake Wells in second place. Jace Wright about 13 seconds off of Jake Wells in third place. And then Neil Kerbel in the lead of this 3-car battle, about 10 seconds adrift of Jace Wright, Kyle Hirsch, Kevin Yu, Thiago Dinarte in the Audi, currently still in a good top 10 position after serving that drive-through penalty. The 664 Honda, after starting from last on the grid, finding themselves in a good top 10 position in 8th place. Sarah Liu in 9th, also having to serve a drive-through penalty, still in a good top 10 position though. Barrios in the 76 rounds out the top 10. Daniel Hirsch in 11th. Dr. Porkchop in the Jag in 12th. Buggy Watt in 13th. Navarro in the 416 Ferrari, the last of the runners on track. Potts Weaver in the pits after an incident early on in the race, seeing him having to return to the pits with heavy damage on the McLaren. But Neil Kerbel pulling out a pretty good gap here to Kyle Hirsch, just not letting him close up and get any sort of pace advantage through these twisty sections. And it looks like Kevin Yu also just dropping back almost a second is the gap between him and Kyle Hirsch. Oh my goodness, so much action in the race so far. What's been the highlight of your race so far, Harrison?
I think for this, I could be not motorsport super smart, but I think what's his name? Jake Wright? I don't know the first name, but I think Wright's performance tonight is what I'm most impressed about. I mean, this is the second longest battle here we're seeing with these three, but Wright was battling all parts of the game, all parts of the race early and everything, and so for him to kind of keep his composure, keep his wits about him, and to battle up to be on the podium pretty safely here, so long as he finishes out smoothly. That's been mine. Wells and Williams, I think they had a good early battle. I'm not sure if it was pit strategies or what led Williams to have this almost 10-second lead over Wells, because Wells did start podium and everything, but those are pretty much the big points I've written down for excitement.
Yeah, 100% agree. Jace Wright with a good start there. Or sorry, not a good start, actually. He was involved in a bit of contact early on, but yeah, kept a cool head and kept it going and finding himself in that good, solid top 3 position at the moment. And yeah, the strategy calls between Chandler Williams and Jake Wells all season long has just been kind of epic and flowing between the two. I remember Jake Wells in one of the races earlier electing not to take new tires, but still was able to defend the position. And so unfortunately that strategy doesn't look like it's quite the optimum one around Valencia here in the late evening, I should say, almost 9 p.m. local time in Valencia here, as the sun begins to set lower and lower into the night. Visibility becoming more and more of a factor. Sparks become even more visible to us on the cameras here as drivers here battling for 4th and 5th go through the final sectors to start another lap here. This will be lap 31 on the board for the drivers. Still on the lead lap with Chandler Williams, Jake Wells, Jace Wright in the top 3, Neil Kerbel in the Mustang in the foreground, able to get through the Ferrari and the McLaren here for that 4th position. Kyle Hirsch still in 5th, but a good start from Kyle Hirsch, or a good race I should say. Started kind of near the back of the top 10, but finding the pace in the McLaren and getting those positions. But still with 2 minutes left, any mistakes can happen, and we of course do not know how many track limits each driver is working with, and potentially might pick up a drive-through in the closing stages of the race too. Yeah,
this battle with Hirsch here, this is back 7 laps ago when it started. The McLaren looked like it was really just itching to pull away, but Kerber has really kind of shut the door on that, and he's done really well to kind of maintain this slim but still a lead. So with these last couple of laps coming out of him, I wonder if Hirsch is going to tip his cap and say, well done, well driven, let's drive safe and get out of here, or if he's going to try to make a few more moves here as they get to these final couple of laps.
Yeah, he's definitely looking a lot closer on this lap than he has on previous occasions. And certainly, like you said, the time ticking down, maybe just 1 or 2 laps to go. Certainly will be 2 for these guys as they cross the line for another go, going through turn 14 at the moment. Just about 5 miles left of racing for these two. 2 laps, 2.48 miles each around the circuit Ricardo Tormo at Valencia in round 6 of the West Coast Wednesday Championship. And there we have the pit window closed, but all of our drivers have completed that mandatory 25-second refueling time pit stop, with a few drivers electing not to take tires. Getting a little bit ahead of myself there. But yeah, nonetheless, a bit different strategy calls from the top 2. Jace Wright with a good performance, clawing his way back after a few incidents early on. Neil Kerbel fighting his way through the field as well. Unfortunate drive-throughs for Dinarte and Sarah Liu, and that stop-go for Navarro as well in the 416. But still, always good to see the perseverance of the drivers after penalties like that, continuing on and just seeing what they can do in the race. Kind of treat it as a practice session. Keep your head down and put in some consistent laps and see how good of a lap time you can put in.
Yeah, that's a really important thing to do. Is I think we've all been there if we've ever played or simulated or done real races. You know, you get those penalties, you get those bad feelings, and you got to switch the brain from, okay, I'm no longer racing against anyone, I'm racing against myself in the track, to try to improve upon, you know, personal goals and personal things. As this should be the last lap for them, right? So
yep,
let's see if there's going to be any kind of move here through turn 1 and 2. Doesn't look like he's close enough to do the moves he had done earlier. So this will be an exciting battle here for the final time through each corner.
Yeah, certainly will be. Kyle Hirsch right on the tail, and this is the place, this sector in particular, is where the McLaren seems to be much stronger than the Ford. We can see it there through the braking zone, just carrying so much more speed, and he's now right on the rear wing of the Mustang in front for 4th place. But the Mustang in front is Chandler Williams. He's just got 1 corner left to negotiate. With the timer at 0, the checkered flag will be waving for Chandler Williams in the number 3. Please break T1 Mustang as the dusk in the sky, seeing the stars early on. Chandler Williams takes the checkered flag for the race win around Valencia here tonight. And there is a change maybe for position here for 4th place. Kyle Hirsch was thinking about the move, and he still might get it done. Jake Wells across the line in 2nd. Jace Wright will take 3rd as he crosses the line in the BMW, and it looked like Kyle Hirsch just for a moment might have had that position on Neil Kerbel. But this battle will go the way of the 395 Mustang, as he will go to the checkered flag to take 4th place. Fantastic battle all the way up to the line between those 3. Neil Kerbel ahead of Kyle Hirsch in 5th. Kevin Yu finishing in 6th. Thiago Dinarte crossed the line in 7th place. Devin Anthony under pressure from Sarah Liu. The battle for 8th and 9th. Getting close, but not close enough to go Sarah Liu's way. Devin Anthony will take 8th across the line in the Honda. Sarah Liu in 9th. Barrios already taking the checkered flag in 10th place. Daniel Hirsch rounding the final corner in the 48. The Super Kitties will come to the line to take the checkered flag in 11th place. And speaking of Super Kitties, the Jag in 11th place, the number 71. I believe actually it should be 12th place. A few drivers already leaving the server. We'll get the final standings on the left once Dr. Porkchop crosses the line to take 12th place. Buggy Watt across the line in 13th. Navarro finishing 14th. Cronotis and Potts Weaver, unfortunately not able to take the checkered flag in this race, will finish in 15th and 16th.
Yeah, what an exciting race. That was awesome. Real quick on Anthony, I don't know if you have them. I don't have them, but I don't know what I know he started in last, but I don't even think he had a qualifying time. I don't know. And then he had that late start to the formation lap. So I don't know if he was just late to the late to the party or what happened with him, but he did a great lap. And then Williams, I mean, he what a good performance by him. He knew he had the pace early. He knew he wasn't in first, but with the strategy of a pit stop, with the strategy of having, you'll get your opportunities. You don't have to be so aggressive the whole time once you figure out that you have the better pace. And it looks like that's maybe what he did. So congratulations to him for the win. But overall, it was a really good race by everybody, I'd say.
Yeah, 100% agree. The podium sitters already know the deal. They're waiting for us in the green room here already. Let's pull in third place sitter Jace Wright into the room here. Jace Wright, how's it going, my friend?
Good, how are you?
Oh, not too bad. That was certainly a bunch of action from us to watch. A bit of a bumpy start from you, let's say, getting bumped a little bit out of position, but you were able to recover super well. Just tell us about the race from your perspective. We certainly saw it from the commentators booth, but what was it like in that BMW tonight?
It was surprisingly good. I didn't think I'd have that good of a pace for too long, but I guess being in the clean air after, while not focusing on chasing anybody, just being in the clean air and focusing on, apexes and exits, the pace was pretty rapid tonight.
Heck yeah, man.
After the bump, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, any questions from you, Harrison? We got a new commentator tonight joining us, Jace. Harrison for the first time. Yeah, I think he did super well this evening, handled it super well. Any questions from you, Harrison?
I just got one, Jace. Hey, Jace, this is Harrison. You did, for my first race, I think you got third, but you got the outstanding driver to me in my book. You had a lot of battles seemingly early throughout that whole race. Like you had said, you kind of had a rough start, but then found your pace. How much pressure do you feel when you're battling for those 5, 6, 7 laps in a row? Do you feel any? Do you feel like you got to quickly make moves in a race that's 50 minutes? Or what goes through your mind when you're doing those battles early on?
There's pressure not to end the other driver's race. I'm doing this for fun, so I'm trying. I want to race hard, but clean at the same time. So the pressure there is not lose my car and not kill the other guy.
That's all. That's a great answer. That's a very conservative, drive nice and stay in my lane, do my own thing, and let the pace of the car pass them, not my aggression or do anything risky. So that's a great answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats on finishing in that podium, Jace. Yeah, anything else? Looking forward to seeing what you can do in the last few races. How are you looking forward to the closing 2 rounds? I believe it's the Nordschleife of the full 24-hour layout and Kailami remaining.
Yeah, pretty hyped for Nords. I guess this would be a payback for what happened on Sunday, because I didn't finish that race on Sunday, but now I'm in a car that I do better in at the Nordschleife, so hopefully I can get a good result there. And then for Kailami, it's consistently a good track for me, so I'm just hoping I can finish off the championship pretty good.
Heck yeah, man. Well, looking forward to what you can bring in the closing 2 races, and congrats on the podium finish here tonight. We'll bring in now second place sitter Jake Wells into the stream room here. Jake Wells, how's it going tonight? P2 finish. How are you feeling after that race?
I'm feeling all right. Not too shabby.
Heck yeah.
Better, could have been worse.
Fair enough. A slightly different pit stop calls it looked like there between you and Chandler Williams. It doesn't look like you took tires based on the timing thing that I have here in front of me. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I knew that when he went in the pits, I messed up my couple of my laps. One with a guy coming out, and second, I was reading the chat and I missed the last corner. So yeah, I lost a lot of time when he was in the pit. So I was like, the only chance I have to stay ahead of him is to basically not take tires and just try to hold on for dear life in front. But yeah, just one of those things where unfortunately that occurred, but no big deal.
Yeah, still a good, strong finish. You guys were really close in that qualifying finish. I believe it was like about 0.05 of a second separating you guys at one point during the session. So yeah, you guys seem to really match pace, kind of alternating kind of between the tracks here. And so yeah, really fun to watch the action between you guys. And I know you've been following Tracklicious for a while, but we've got a new commentator tonight, Harrison, joining us in the booth for the first time here tonight. Jake, any questions from you, Harrison?
Hi, Harrison. Nice to meet you. I think you pretty much answered the question. I mean, it looked like you had such a great start to the race, and you really kind of kept pace going. You got out pretty good, and then you started to kind of lose it, and I don't know how that happened. But the question I wanted to ask was, with your pit strategy, was that did you do pre-race strategy? Like, did you get to stop when you wanted to? Did you have to adjust that based on what was going on in the race, or when did you? What made you? I know you had said you wanted to stay out as long as you could and not get tires, but were you planning on going around that 18-minute mark the whole time during the race?
No, I just put in like 55 liters and said, no, they'll take it to as far as it wants me to take it.
Okay, all right.
There was no strategy. I was like, if I want to take tires, it was basically like I can stay ahead. Valencia's a tough track to pass, so I can run longer and just hold everybody up. And then if I decide to take tires, I will be on lesser fuel for the last portion of the stint. And then my tires will be a lot more fresh. But I was like, the only chance I have of staying ahead of Chandler, since I had 2 incidents happen, was basically just keeping the tires and trying to get out ahead. And I came out like, what was that, 7-8 tenths behind.
Yeah, it was close.
Yeah, it was really close out of the pits, but yeah, that tire advantage really looked to go Chandler's way, but nonetheless, good P2 finish. Nordschleife and Kailami remaining. How are you feeling about those 2 tracks to close out the championship?
I suck at Nords, excuse my language. But yeah, Kailami I'm okay at. I haven't driven in a long time, but once you get the flow of Kailami, it's pretty good.
Heck yeah, man. Well, excited to see what sort of action those 2 races bring. And congrats on the P2 finish here tonight, Jake. And I'm sure we'll be talking to you sometime soon again.
Yes. Welcome, Harrison.
Thank you. Congratulations on P2.
Yeah, thank you, buddy.
And it looks like Chandler Williams was in the green room for a second, but not seeing him there anymore. Maybe we'll just give him a second and see if he wants to pop back in and give us some words of wisdom of what it's like to finish a race on top in the West Coast Wednesday GT3 Championship. He's done it many times before. The championship winner from the last season also. And so super exciting to see his pace continue on in the spring season as well.
Yeah, that was great. I think it was over 10 seconds come the final lap there. So that was exciting. I'd love to hear his thoughts if he was pushing that towards the end or if he reached a certain time and then kind of started to say, okay, this is in the bag as so long as I drive safe.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, it looks like he has popped off for the evening. Of course, kind of a late race if the timing isn't quite ideal for all the folks. Of course, you don't have to live on the West Coast to participate in the West Coast Wednesday Championship. If the timing works for you, the timing works for us as well. And speaking of that, let's take a quick look at what the Tracklicious calendar looks like for the remaining months left in the springtime. The GT4 Rookies and the GT4 Open Championship on Mondays starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with the Rookies. We've got 2 rounds left at Watkins Glen and Bathurst, the 20-minute doubleheader for the Rookies, followed by the 50-minute race for the Open Championship. Switching to Le Mans Ultimate on Tuesdays, we've got also 2 races left in that championship, starting at 8:30 Eastern Time. Interlagos and Le Mans are the final races remaining in that multi-class championship between the hypercars and the GT3s. West Coast Wednesday here starting at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Valencia completed here tonight. 2 more 50-minute races remain around the Nordschleife and Kailami. On Thursday, we switch it to iRacing for the mixed GT3 and GT4 championship, beginning at 8:30 Eastern Time. Going to Hockenheim tomorrow and the Nürburgring next week, and Spa to close out the championship of 60-minute races in iRacing. On Friday, we have completed the championships on Le Mans Ultimate. I'm sure there will be more coming So keep a lookout in the Discord for all of that information. Saturday's day off for us here at Trackalicious, apart from the occasional one-off or what is it called? It was the Fun Swap Championship, I believe, that's starting this weekend between family and friends. It's an in real life swap event. And Jake Wells rating, thanks so much, Jake Wells, podium sitter from the race, showing the support for the Trackalicious community here. Thanks so much, Jake, for all you do for us. And congrats on the podium finish. And last but not least, on Sunday to end the week or start the week, however you want to look at it, we've got the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship starting at 8:30 Eastern Time with qualifying before 80-minute races. We were at the Nordschleife this last weekend. We heard Jace Wright talk about it during the interviews before we go to Alton Park this coming weekend and Bathurst the following, before going to Watkins Glen to close out the championship. And the winner of the championship will get a prize from Next Level Racing. It is the ERS4 fabric and sim aero mesh seat for the sim rig of the championship winner in that series. Take it back to the studio for our closing thoughts, and we'll start with you, Harrison. Closing thoughts. How are you feeling? Nerves under your way?
I'm feeling good. I felt like this was a lot of fun. This was a lot of enjoyment. I had a lot of fun. The race was awesome. I think a lot of drivers, it's always good to see people who do better than you, so you can kind of get a better understanding of what's going on. I learned a lot already tonight, not only from you inside the booth, but also the drivers on the track. So that was awesome. I just wanted to, my closing thought would just be thank you to you and Trackalicious and everyone for giving the opportunity for it. And I had a lot of fun, even though it's almost 11:30 for me here, but it was well worth staying up this late.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thanks for joining us tonight. Super fun to have two people in the commentary booth bouncing stuff off each other. It gets a little bit, not necessarily lonely here on West Coast Wednesdays, but always fun to have somebody to bounce ideas off of, keep the chat engaged, keep everybody going. So thank you very much for staying up for it. And I'm sure we'll have you back in the remaining races for the championship here. So yeah, thanks again for joining us. Thank you all for watching along. Thanks to chat for showing us your support, maybe getting involved in the championship as well. Hopefully you got those answers to the livery questions you were looking for as well. Hopefully we can see some absolutely fantastic liveries coming from some of the drivers here from here tonight and in the future as well. Keep a lookout in the Discord for all the coming events. Signups are open on SimGrid for all those we just mentioned. And yeah, we're going to have a fun raid of Zach B Racing, doing a little bit of iRacing tonight. So show some love and support from one sim racing community to another. And we hope you all have a very good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you may be watching from. Thank you for joining us tonight, and we will see you all next time.